Hi, absolutely delighted to be here and to celebrate Care Day 2021. Today I want to just tell you a little bit about the Ombudsman for Children's Office and the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, and also talk to you about some of the issues that we put forward to the committee that are looking into Ireland's report on children's rights in 2022. We start off just telling you a little bit about the office. The Ombudsman for Children's Office is an independent statutory body, which means that we were set up in order to oversee the actions of the government and public services in relation to children. So anywhere that the government provides services for children, we have a right to oversee it and to look at how they're doing, to take complaints and to look at the rights that are being upheld. We were established in 2004 under the 2002 Ombudsman for Children Act. And we have two main functions. One is to examine and investigate complaints, which happens with maybe 1,700 complaints a year, and then also promoting children's rights and welfare in general. We do that through meeting children, giving them workshops, working with professionals who are in postgraduate work on social workers, social care, also looking at policy and legislation for children so that people know how to keep children's rights to the fore of the legislation and the policies. Now, the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, many of you will know, was established in 1989. It was where countries of the world came together and provided and agreed on the rights that children have, no matter what country they're in, where they're from, what their age are, what their denomination is. Every child in the world, and there's only one country in the world that hasn't signed up to this convention, and that's America. It was ratified by Ireland in 1992. And every 5 years, the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child will look at Ireland's record in children's rights to see how they've done, what they've improved on, where the gaps are still there. The next review of that is due in 2022. The last one was 2016, so it's a little bit, the schedule's moving. Mostly up until 2026, we would have provided, the Ombudsman for Children's Office would have provided what was called a shadow report, outlining the issues and concerns we have and presented that to committee. They would have got a number of those reports and then they would have asked questions of the government. This year, what they're doing is a thing called the list of issues prior to reporting. So they asked us to create 30 questions and issues that they wanted us to put to the government, and then they decided how they would proceed from there. So we made a submission in July of 2020 around this, and I'm just going to go through a little bit about these in relation to children in care. So we looked at first the children in alternative care, which is number 16 in the lists, and our concerns that we put to the committee were that we were concerned about the lack of consideration of best interests and the view of the children when they're put into care and when they have input around their own care. We were concerned about care planning and social worker allocation in foster care. So we're very much aware that there's an inconsistency around those things. We know that 93% of children have got an allocated social worker, so it's a high percentage, but there's still, out of a total of 5,971 children, that still leaves a number of hundred children who haven't got social workers. And 94% of our children have written care plans, so there's still a gap there. We had concerns about supports for special needs and interagency cooperation, something we've highlighted through an investigation we did in a case called Molly's case, where HSE and TUSLA are not working together in the way they should. We've got a lot of progress in regards to that, and we're delighted the CEOs of TUSLA and HSE have agreed to do a better job in that. And we look forward to 2021 seeing that in action. We're also concerned about the use of voluntary care by TUSLA in lots of cases where temporary measures are set up for voluntary care and they stay there much longer than was originally planned. So we put those concerns to the committee, and we suggested that they may ask the government and the state about how they setting up and implementing needs assessments, the planning, the review and the record keeping they have in relation to care. Make sure the government ensures availability and suitability of care placements. So they need to broaden the availability, and they need to address the needs of children with disability and mental health needs within care, alternative care. And that's a crucial part for me, because I think you're vulnerable already in care, But with those extra issues, we really need to make sure that we as locus parentis, the state has to step up to the mark. The next area that we looked at was children in care outside of the state. And our concerns for this is, as of 2020, my understanding is there was about 21 children out in care of the state outside, being looked after outside of Ireland. Most of them were in the UK, and there was one in mainland Europe. From our point of view, it shows a real absence of specialised care for children in Ireland, and it's something we need to step up to the plate on. There's a real lack of information on the impact of those placements abroad, because we know what it's like. I've spoken to a number of children in that situation. They're away from their families, they're away from their siblings, from the people they know and they care about, and the people who can support them during really traumatic and difficult times, because they're often over there because they've got mental health needs or other issues like eating disorders or something that's really, really difficult and traumatic. So parents and family may only be able to visit maybe every fortnight or every 4 weeks. And then returning can be a difficulty as well. We also have a lack of information on selection and monitoring of those placements. So how do we know where we're going, where the good placements are? And those are concerns we've had for a long time, and I think it's time for Ireland to really step up and do something about that. So our suggestions to the committee was that they provide information to us or through the state on the efforts that the state have made to develop and secure services in Ireland. The UN committee itself in 2016 already made a recommendation that Ireland need to provide their own secure care services and eliminate the need to send children abroad. But there's been no move in that direction since then. They need to ensure placements abroad meet children's needs and uphold their rights. So again, it's understanding who's got the clinical responsibility and who's got the legal responsibility for children, and clarify the monitoring of placements abroad, so that there is some degree of standardisation and understanding that the government are placing the children in a safe space. The next area, and I know this EPIC have been really strong on this as well, there are concerns around aftercare, and how oftentimes that excludes a certain group of children, children who maybe are in care for less than 12 months before they turn 18, or who have experienced homelessness and received TUSLA services but have not been formally in care. So there's a group of children there that really need the aftercare and aren't getting it. We're concerned about delays and inadequate levels of planning and variations in services across the country. The quality control is crucial here, because the 18-year-olds really need our support at a really crucial time in their life. Our understanding is there was about close to 2,500 children in this aftercare at the end of 2018, and 479 of them were under 18 years of age. We're looking at the interagency cooperation for children with disabilities in this circumstance as well. So again, HSE and TUSLA working together, are not working together up until now, but hopefully there will be improvements on that. And we're also concerned about separated children placed in direct provision. So we know that children come in who are unaccompanied from war-torn areas, traumatic backgrounds. They go into foster care as soon as they get here. They're sort of 14, 15. But once they turn 18, they're immediately moved to a direct provision centre if they haven't got status, and they could interact then with adults within direct provision centres. And that's a real traumatic change for them, and something we need to look at. So we suggested to the committee that they ask the state to give us information on the adequate preparation and availability of supports for these children. And again, it's this idea that we have enough time to plan. We know most children are in care before they're 16, so you've got at least 2 years to plan for it. We need to ensure children with disabilities remain with foster families or transition to appropriate social care accommodations within as smooth a fashion as possible, and the state mitigate challenges for separated children going into direct provision. And that's a crucial thing from our point of view. The next piece that we looked at was care of children presenting as homeless. From our point of view, there's a use of unsuitable emergency accommodation. It's just not allowed anymore. We can't. It's so inappropriate. It often adds to the trauma for children who are homeless. What we need now is a well-staffed, well-resourced, 24/7 accommodation service for children who find themselves in that situation. We know that there's difficulty for children who have to leave the services during the day. it leaves them vulnerable to criminal elements and to other issues and that could be risky for their life. We also know that there's an exclusion from aftercare for many of the children in that circumstance, and we talked about that earlier. So again, it's a really key part for us, and we asked the committee then to make sure that the state provides information on how they're going to address the root causes of homelessness. So again, prevention is better than cure. Ensure provision of appropriate accommodation support, so we make those homeless accommodation as high quality as possible with the right level of staffing and the good quality support 24/7, and ensure the time in emergency accommodation is limited, again, to make sure that the children are moving back to a more appropriate setting. And finally, ensure that children move to suitable and sustainable placements. So again, it's not just getting out of emergency accommodation to a placement that might collapse within a month. It's moving to something that's suitable and sustainable. So those were the 4 areas we looked at, and the 4 areas that we made our submissions to the committee. We did that in July, and the committee then came back. So what did they come back and what did they agree with us on, and what are they going to ask the government about? Essentially, they asked, they've agreed with us, and they've asked for information on the following. They're going to look at the needs assessment, the planning, the reviews and record keeping. So again, ensuring that we really have a good care system in place and that's really monitored properly. Ensure the availability of appropriate placements. So the government will have to answer that question. Have we got enough? Are they in the right places? Are they well staffed, and is everybody supported properly in that regard? They're going to ask the government about addressing the needs of children in care with disabilities and mental health needs. So again, that really difficult cohort who need extra support while they're in care. And they're asking about allocating social workers and aftercare services to all children in care. So again, it's upping our game and trying to provide the best possible service in a really positive social environment. And then integrating best interests as a primary consideration in all alternative care. So again, putting children's rights at the heart of the decision making for public services. We asked them to give us more information and data, because again, data is crucial for us in regards to how we understand and plan for the future. So what's the story with residential care? How much information do we have about family and community-based care? The care outside the state, emergency accommodation, single isolation, special care units. So again, if you record that data, then you can learn from it and plan for the future. And we also want to know with this information, what the gender of the people are, the ethnic origin, the national origin, the type of disability that might be involved, the geographical location. So again, proper in-depth data is going to be crucial for us into the future in planning. And from my point of view, I'm delighted to get those to know that the government are going to have to answer those questions to the committee. My understanding is they will be sending back a report on that next year, and then the committee will call them in front of them and challenge them on some of the replies and the responses. I will have an opportunity to engage with the committee at that stage as well. So from my point of view, I'll be pushing very, very hard to improve the standards of children's care throughout the various aspects of it. And I look forward to doing that next year and seeing what the government's response is. Okay, and I really want to just wrap up by saying a warm thank you to EPIC for the invitation to be involved today, and to say congratulations on building up Care Day to such a big event. You should be really, really proud of it. I'm delighted to have been involved for the last few years, and where it's grown to now is fantastic, because we all know that the importance of being showing the positive side of care gives a chance for those thousands and thousands of children to really blossom and to recognise how important it is to be looked after in that way. So I hope Care Day is a great event for all of you, and thank you again for the invitation.